Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to everybody. I offer my heartfelt regards to all the members who are present here, the esteemed scholars. We have 1.5 hours, that's the session. So what I propose to do is that each of the members would speak for 15 to 18 minutes. So after 15 minutes, I think that's how we can manage 1.5 hours, otherwise it would be impossible. If you all agree, yeah? So each one would speak for 15 minutes. So probably 15 minutes afterwards, I will say a Om. Is that okay? Yeah? And then 18 minutes is the final Om. So between that 15 to 18, that 18th minute, you must kindly ensure that we stop wherever we are. Even if it is a proposition, conjunction, we stop there. Do we all agree to that? How the next will start. Just a few words before we go forward. The word dharma or dhamma, both of them, the root of that word is dhr, which means to support, to hold, to nourish. And that is why the Mahabharata says, dharana dharma ityahu. Because it does dharana, because it holds, makes a thing what it is, therefore it is called as dharma. Sugar. What is the dharma of sugar? Sweetness. If not for sweetness, sugar is not sugar. Salt. Saltiness is a dharma. If not for that, it will not be salt. And that is why you find the word dharma having so many complexions, if I may say. Because what is that which holds? Sometimes the word dharma is used for duty. Because what holds our life is our duty. Dharma is translated sometimes as righteousness. Because what holds us as a human being, which distinguishes from animals, is righteous living. Dharma is sometimes considered as law, because what holds society as a society is law, niti. Dharma is sometimes translated also as religion, because religion is nothing but the expression of goodness in a particular way of living. And if that way of living were not there, how would I express that goodness, that nobility, that holiness, that spirituality? And that's how dharma gets the translation of religion also. In this way, you can keep on developing the meanings of dharma, but finally it boils down to only one point, and that is what makes us what we are truly. If giving up that, we will not be what we are. So dharma of a nation, dharma of a society, dharma of a community, dharma of an individual. In this way, we can keep elaborating. So welcome. Let's have the exemplary speakers share their wonderful thoughts, and then we will move forward. Thank you. Can we start from that side? Is it okay? We'll start from there.
afternoon. Chairperson Swamiji and other fellow speakers and distinguished and august member of this assembly. I am Hirapal Kangnegi from Delhi University. Swamiji has already stated about what Dhamma means. Here the term is Dharma and Dhamma. What I presume is probably something in Buddhist context they are trying to bridge up, which is needed highly, that Dharma as a Sanskrit term stands for the Mahayana Buddhism, and Dhamma as such a Pali word stands for the Theravada Buddhism. Today, even Buddhist perspective in the Delhi University, I have been teaching there since many years, I still find difficulty in bridging up these two. Scholars from the Buddhist studies, from the Theravada countries, they are sometimes I feel reluctant in accepting many of these Mahayan principles, ideals. And similarly, Mahayan scholars, they have some hesitation in accepting the Theravada teachings in the true sense as such. They think that this is a more simple and more easier one. But what I suggest, what I feel is that what Dhamma means. Dhamma is, as stated, Dhamma yato abhyudaya nishaya siddhi. This morning, Professor Bhatt Sahab has said, priyas and shreyas. So similarly, this yato abhyudaya nishaya siddhi. Abhyudaya or priyas as such, this morning Bhatt Sahab said, abhyudaya means more with this material prosperity. And the nishreyas means it is the ultimate spiritual happiness. Both are seeking for the happiness of the human being. So therefore, they are engaging into how to acquire that. In the same context, we can say the religion as such a spiritual awakening and a spiritual happiness, it talks about that. And whereas the science talking about the physical happiness, a material happiness. All the scientific inventions are physically developed to make our life more easy and simple and happy. So in that context, the religion and science going together, both are complementary to each other. It is not, earlier it was stated, science and religions are not compatible to one another. Since it is a matter of the state and the state orders, when talking about the state and state orders, orders means social order. Social order in Buddhist context, they are talking about the Char Parishad, the 4 Parishadas, Upasak, Upasika, and Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sangha. So this Sangha as such concept is the first time Buddha has evolved. Those people who want a quick awakening or quick moksha or nirvana must join this Sangha. So why this Sangha? This is something like Rattapala Sutta, they say, something like Buddha teaching, he had a chance to listen to Buddha and he was so impressed, so inspired. He got so blissful. So he said this blissfulness has lead him to renunciation. Renunciation is from the worldly life as a family life. Then why he renounced this word? He says, this renunciation will take me to seclusion, to isolated places. Why this seclusion? The seclusion will encourage me to have a peace. What is a peace? What is a peaceful life is all about? There it will give me a mind to think more better and a more magnanimous manner, and that will lead me to awakening. So therefore he responded in that way. He was son of the rich family. So but what I need to say is that here, referring to the last Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when the last days of Buddha, here in this same Rajgriha, when the Ajatashatru has expressed his desire to his minister Vassakara, he says that I want to destroy the Bhajyans and I want to bring them, annihilate them. So please go to the Buddha and ask him how I can do it now. So Vassakara goes to the Buddha. Buddha was dwelling in this Gridhakuta. Then he has gone with this chariot, and after the park where he has chariot goes, then he alighted from the chariot and he went on foot to the Buddha and expressed what the Ajatashatru wanted to do that. The Buddha never says and responded directly to the person who is asking question. Backside was the Ananda who was feigning him, and he asked Ananda, what you have heard, is the Bajjan, they are assembling together and taking decisions like that, meeting is having regularly or not? This says, yes, he said like that. Like this, he has talked about the 7 points now. Those 7 points, how to regulate the society and how to regulate the social order as such, as a king and as subject. What the first thing is, there should be a regular meeting with the good attendance. Means, regular meeting should be among those who are, supposedly we're talking about the parliament, the member of parliament, all good attendance and regular meeting should be taken place. Then he asked this to the Ananda. Ananda said, yes, it is happening now. Then he responds, Buddha. Then in that sense, there is certainly this society or this Bajjan will progress. They cannot decline. They cannot be defeated in the other way around. Then second thing he says, does the assembly resolve issues amicably and disperse peacefully? This again also the second important thing issue is that they are meeting together, then discussing properly, and when they resolve the issues and then they get up amicably and disperse without having any notion of the ill will. He says, yes, they do it. Responsible. Then this state honor the age-old tested regulation and do not create new rules and abolish the existing one. Means, do they have the honor of the age-old traditions, which is called the Dharma or Sanatana rule, which is traditional, eternal one. Eternal here means that which is being well tested and well thought after by the great rishis. Then again he says, do they honor, respect, and they show veneration and esteem to their elders and listen to them? Means, is there a place for the elderly people? They have been given proper understanding, they are listening, they are being listened, they are being taken care of that. If they are doing like that, no, then nobody can defeat them. Their progress is must. Then again, do they honor, respect women and the maidens? Means, is the women and the ladies in that state are safe and secured? They are not abducted and they are not put into confinement? Anand says, yes, I have heard so. There is nothing as such. Then again he says, no, if this is like that, then nobody can defeat Bajjans. Their progress is certain, but not the decline. Then fifth one, do they show respect and honor, esteem to the veneration towards the religious shrines within the city and outside the city? Here this within the city means outside the city. What I presume is probably those shrine which is in the city means the dominant group of people who worship in that. Outside city means those belong to the other one. Sometime in the village side also, the center side is of the upper caste, then outside the village is of the low caste. Means do they worship and give them? They say yes. Then again he repeat the same word. Then there is certainly they cannot be defeated. Then again, do not they deprive their due offering given to them earlier? If suppose some grants are being given to these shrines or these management of these temple and monasteries, is it still continuing? Discontinued? It is not discontinued. If it's not like that, then again say no. He say yes, their progress is certain, not decline. Then last he says, do they give the due protection to the holy men to live in the peace? Again here the means, those people who are practicing their different kind of religions, those religious people are being given due respect and protection so that they can peacefully maintain and practice their religion. Then he says, yes, I heard so, so therefore that. Then giving this answer, then he responds to Avassakara. You listen to it. Then because Ajatashatru told him, that, please listen carefully because Thagat never tell lies. So tell me back. Then he went back and told him all these things. Then he could not destroy. But he gave this suggestion, in case Ajatashatru want to defeat the Bajjans, only he can do two things: trickery, or some kind of a bribery and all kind of their wrong notions, wrong things. They can defeat like that. So this way, this is 7 conditions which has been. He says, these 7 conditions for the good governance of the nation or state is being taught by me at the Vaishali to the Vajjans. He has already taught them about the Vajjans. So do they follow? Buddha, when they ask about the do they follow, means all still following the same thing there, which I have taught to them. Since it is there, then there's no point, nobody can defeat them. This way, Vasakara goes back and then after immediately Buddha asked Ananda to make assembly, call all monks to get assembled in the assembly hall. Then he repeated again these 7 conditions to those monks, stating about how these kind of rules has to be implemented into the Sangha. So therefore, he was very clear about that. Important thing is this, and this teaching is being given as last days of his, when he was left. Then afterwards, he is leaving the Gridhakuta and coming to the next day to the Nalanda. At Nalanda, then again from Nalanda, he goes to the Pataligrama. In between, he in Ambalatika place, somewhere in between. Then he goes to the Nalanda to the Pataliputra, then he goes to last to the Kushinagar. So each day, he is repeating 2 things together. Because when he has started about this teaching about the middle path, in talking about, he has said, avoiding the 2 extremes. So what is middle path? Avoiding 2 extremes. Not to engage into the sensual pleasure, or not to give the self-mortification. Don't torture your body. Following the middle path. Then he talks about the Four Noble Truth, initial teaching. Four Noble Truth, first truth is the suffering. We in the universities also, we talk about the Four Noble Truth. Suffering is there, cause of suffering is there, there's a cessation is there, then path leading to. We narrate it, but we have never gone through why, what to do, what suffering means now. Most of us, even we don't know what suffering is. That's a problem. First, Pratham Arya Satchani is Dukkham. Dukkham Parigeyam. That has to be understood. It should be properly understood. What is the suffering is now? Then suffering has a cause. That has to be properly removed. Then again, there's a path. 4th one is path leading to the cessation, which is called the Eightfold Path. These Eightfold are further divided into 3: Shil, Samadhi, and Pragya. And Buddha, each day, when he has left Rajgir to the Kushinagara, each day he narrates this thing now. This is a Shila, this is Samadhi, and this is a Pragya. And he says that this is a Shila. And he says that great becomes the fruit, great is the gain of the Samadhi or meditative concentration when it is fully developed by the Shila. So this meditation need to be backed with and practiced with the Shilas, the moral conduct. And then by the great becomes the fruit, and the great is the gain of the pragya, wisdom, insight wisdom, when it is fully developed by the concentration. Pragya is generated if it is well backed by the concentration or samadhi. Then ultimately, utterly free from the lust and ignorance, mind that fully developed is the wisdom. When the wisdom is generated, in that mind is fully see everything inside it. So that way, it is further leading it to the awakening. This is the main purpose of the Buddhist practices. One of the Buddhist practices, I want to say, when Vivekananda once said, Buddha's teaching are the gift to the world. Because he says, Buddha, and again he says, Buddha's teaching were rooted into the Vedic scriptures. Because if you see about them, Veda with root 7, know about that. And Buddha is against both, know about that. So therefore, both the thing, it talks about the wisdom and knowledge. So it was because of Buddha. Then he says, Vivekananda says, how this Buddhism has started declining in India. He believes that probably Buddha's teaching and the philosophy has clashed with the eternal rock of the Vedas. Veda also talking about the fundamental basic thing. Suppose Sangachadvam, go together, Samvadatam, Sahno Bunaktu. All these things are together. It's just general teachings about the eternal teachings now. And every religion talks about that. To talk about that, they will see to it that the roots are in the Veda. I don't think there is any inconsistency there. It is properly coherent. Then again, he concludes, says, no, Buddhism was the fulfillment of Hinduism. Because when the Brahminical tradition was developing it, and it is the last moment when this Shankara Vedanta has come, when talking about this, and the Buddhism, Madhyamik tradition came, then when talking about this two truths, means one is called the Samvrati Satya and other is Paramarth Satya. Here is the Jiva and the Paramatma, something like we talk about the Shunyata, they talk about the Maya, like that. So with this, then ultimately why these things are needed? Buddhism is, after all, knowing about that, compassion is root cause of that. When the compassion, talking about the Buddha, Dalai Lama has always talked about the universal responsibility. This universal responsibility, nothing but generated out of the compassion. I will quote and by end this thing. In our present circumstances, Dalai Lama says, in our present circumstances, none of us can afford to assume that somebody else will solve our problem. Any kind of problem, the worldly problem, global warming or whatever thing is, or solve our problems, each of us must take his or her own share of universal responsibility. So he talking about the universal responsibility, he says, genuine sense of the responsibility can result only if we develop a compassion. So adopting an attitude of the universal responsibility is essentially a personal matter. The real test of compassion is not what we say in abstract discussion, but how we conduct in our daily life. With this, I wish all you the very happy life, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, especially to the Sunanaji and the Shri Prakash ji. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, and Vice Chancellor, and all distinguished and friends. On my behalf of my lecturer, MBU Mahamukut Buddhist University in Thailand. So I'm Pra Mahabuna Pratumshat. So many people ask about Pramaha, what does it mean? Pramaha does mean is like a Pantaji, like a Swami, and like a Rinpoche, something like that. So then, so many people confused. So before talking about the Dhamma, I would like to share with you about Thailand. In Thailand, when how is the relationship between Thailand and India? It's a long time ago, I think since 1947. On that time, the government invite all the country to building the temple in India. So the first temple in India is Wat Thai Puthakaya in Bihar. From that, we have relationship together. And we have to lend the land 99 years for building the land, for building the temple. For that, we built the 9 temples in India. After that, many temples appearing. So I'm very proud to be here today because I would like to share you about Thailand and about India. Of course, India is not so far from Thailand, but many tourism come to India so many years, so much. and even Thai people also come. Not only tourism, about education also we also coming. For example, myself, I also complete my study in India, in Nagpur University, Maharashtra. So then, India give me so many things, so many situations, so many thinking, so many thoughts of me. When I study here, I've got many things about the India society. And I teach so many things about how to know the Dhamma, not only saying, not only speaking, not only communication. So many people know about Dhamma by talking only. But Dhamma is very deeply to understand without practice. You have to practice that. You have to know that. How to know? Some person say Dhamma or Buddha is really hopeless. Why? Because no one can achieve that enlightenment like him from nowadays, right? I don't know. Because for myself, I think if you do a good thing, if you follow them, if you follow the Buddha, so then something will appear in your mind. Dhamma not like only talking and listening and understanding, but you have to do in the same thing oftenly. For example, when you go into meditation, you will lodge your mind somewhere. I want to asking all of you, where of your mind on that time? Sometimes your mind at home, sometimes your mind in your office, and sometimes your mind somewhere in a funny place. But how to control your mind, how you catch your mind back in your body? The Buddha said you have to awake yourself and ask yourself oftenly, where are you on that time? Because when you go into do meditation, so many things trouble you, so many things will catch you. They will object you, don't do this, don't do this. This is not a good thing for yourself. So many sounds, so many noise make you, trouble you. This is Dhamma. Because so many people talking only, not only the practice. Now, today, not only now, I would like to all of you understand the Dhamma by practice. Without practice, you do never be clear of the Dhamma. Okay then, that it is difficult to practice the Dhamma, but suppose you start today, no one knows the future. Maybe you are the one got enlightenment. Maybe you are the one going to the way of Buddhism. Only this born, suppose you going to the way of Buddhism, after next born, you never go to heaven. For sure. Because only one thing you have to remember. When you sin alive, you say, I will go to heaven, I will go to heaven. But how? You worship the God. You not do anything, but you go to heaven. It's not possible. You have to practice yourself. Start from walking, talking, walking slowly, and you have to beware everything around of you. And talking with the nice people who make you down, don't meet them. Who talk with you and make your mind up, increase your mind, then you talk with them. Because I need all of you to start for meditation of yourself. Why? Because very difficult, very important for nowadays. Because technology is very fast. Make you very short understand everything. When you read something, very short understand, short mind, you have to do everything in the same time. It's not good. But meditation will deep you, will struck you in the one thing only. It's a consciousness. When you got consciousness, no one know what is consciousness of you, because you have to practice by yourself. I cannot tell you, you got in the level of the Dhamma. What the level of the Dhamma, I cannot telling you, because who practice, they will know by themselves. That I want to telling you, that I want to asking you to start to do meditation for yourself, at least 5 minutes a day. Dhamma very complicated, that everybody know that. But suppose you open your mind to understand and open your mind to make them inside at least 1 minute of understand the Dhamma. The Buddha say, suppose you have meditation and deeply with the consciousness, only 1 second, not 1 minute, only 1 second of your mind in the purity. For sure, you will go into the heaven. Because everybody now, we are running with anything in the same time, do many things in the same time, not take care of yourself. You thinking about the other people, but you not thinking about yourself after you die. You coming alone. When you going alone. No mobile, no car, no house, no family. So then, that's I would like to make a point in for time of today is meditation, because we will make suppose you teach your son or your daughter, we will make them bright, or you will make yourself also to be achieve something. I don't know how to say when you achieve something, like explore your mind. Can you control your mind? Not only can do that successful, can do this thing successful, not. It's not the way of the Dhamma. The way of the Dhamma is you have to stay, control your mind in the circle of your mind, and then you will know. Sometimes you can see your body. Sometimes you can understand what the people thinking. This thing I want to remind you, because so many things in the social network, so many things in social world, or nowadays, running very fast. The 3 things Buddha say: do the good thing, avoid the bad thing, and pure your mind, enable to enlightenment. The characteristic simple to all of you. I think every religion have followed that. But how to do, you have to find it out. I give you the way only meditation. The good way for after your next your born, the good way to go in the good life, you have to do meditation. because everyone have only one mind to control and to maintain your mind. How to maintain your mind? Your mind, like I told you before, your mind will running everywhere, right? But you just ask your mind, where are you? Every second, where are you? Then your mind will come to you. When you're thinking about your family at home, when you're thinking in the market, when you're thinking in the somewhere in the funny place, when you're asking your mind, where are you? Then your mind will come back to you. This is the way for meditation. Every time when your mind goes somewhere, you have to ask them, where are you? My mind, where are you? Then your mind will come back to you infinitely. Then the way to meditation. Nothing else today. I want to share you about the meditation, because meditation is the best way for you, for all of you, to calm your mind, to speak with nicely with the people, and to make yourself, to make your life is good. So everything going through, I would like to tell you 2-3 things about Thailand. Again, come back to Thailand because we very happy, because nowadays we are have new supreme. We have new leader of the monks in Thailand, the number 20. That name is Somdet Pat Sankharat. We have a new one. Even we have a new king too. His Majesty Maha Vajiralongkorn the Lama 10. We have on celebrate in Thailand. Maybe everyone know that. So then, last and not least, I would like to take his word. I would like to introduce the royal guys from the previous king, the Majesty King Bhumibol the Lama 9. He said that giving anything to anyone, any place, again, giving anything to anyone, any place is a wish, because it is to make close friendship between people to people, and to make a sustainable society with harmony. So I hope I will see the peaceful the world by the joint hand together, and I hope to all of you to be the good and to be follow my step in the meditation, in daily life, in for use for daily use also. Thank you very much, and thank you for invitation to Mahamokut Buddhist University, and Thanjawan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chair, my fellow speaker, our I'm very glad to be invited to this conference. My name is Hui Kai from Taiwan, represent the Foguangshan Buddhist Temple, which was founded by our Grandmaster Xing Yun in 1967. So today I'm going to present a topic, the sustainability of the world and the sustainability of life. Before I became a monk, I was the math teacher. So I want to say something inspiration from the math concept. Can you just follow my? Okay. Well, forget. I just read the context. So in the natural number system. 2 minus 1 equal 1, but 1 minus 2 is no solution in the natural number system. So we have to move to the integer number system. But in the integer number system, 4 cannot be divided by 3. And we have to expand to rational number system. But in rational number system, 2 have no square root. So we have to move to real number system. But in real number system, minus number has no square root, right? So in any narrowly defined set or domain, formula or equation that cannot be solved within the narrow number system could be readily resolved when upgraded to a larger scope or higher level of set or domain. So whenever a formula or problem appear to be unsolvable, it is often not the solvability of the problem at hand is in question, but rather that the domain given is too narrow. So in a very similar, in the human life, the problem concerning life and death and the whole world that appear to have no solution at a lower level of thought or reasoning could very well be examined, understood, and resolved if a higher level of a broader domain of thought is taken into account. So the equation of life is placed in a closed and thinking mode or system of there is only one lifespan, then there is only one desperate result that is absolutely no solution. So the equation of life is placed in a macro open mindset and the system of the 10 direction and the 3 pure cosmic life view, that means past, present, and the future. It is not only solvable, but also bring unlimited hope and vision. Now I'm going to say something about the sustainability of the world. The first is the philosophical and conceptual evolution of ecological and environmental ethics. In 1989, the Garland Nash, he proposed the evolution of human environmental ethic belief and their central idea from self, family, tribe, region, nation, race, human, animal, plant, life, rock, ecosystem, planet, and the whole universe. So the evolution of ecological and environmental ethics is from the beginning is the anthropocentric concept, then moved to biocentric environmental ethics, and then to the ecocentric environmental ethic. So in the anthropocentric concept, hold that mankind is the master of all things, the source of value, and the measure of all things. But we move to the biocentric environmental ethic, then it advocates respect the individual of life and give moral consideration and the belief that only life itself is valuable, but the species and the ecosystem are not. And finally, we move to the ecocentric environmental ethic from the viewpoint of the ecosystem as a whole. It discusses the ethical relationship between man and the natural environment and the belief that the natural ecology has its own value and should be respected and ethically considered by human beings. So the main conviction of anthropocentrism is mankind is the master and owner of the nature. Mankind is the source of our value, and nature has only instrumental value to mankind. Human beings are superior characteristic and therefore transcend the rest of nature. There is no ethical relationship between human and other creatures. Holding the anthropocentric belief in shallow ecology, embracing the worldview of anthropocentrism. And then we take a look at the characteristic of the biocentric environmental ethic. Humans give moral consideration to every individual life on Earth, claim that each individual of life value and interest are equal, considering that animals are alive, advocating animal individualism and the life individualism should all be given moral consideration. Then, the main conviction of ecocentric environmental ethic. The natural world has intrinsic value and human beings should give moral consideration. Natural, animal, plant, and ecosystem have intrinsic value and cannot be measured by their value to human, emphasizing on the ethical relationship of the ecosystem as a whole. In ecosystem, organisms interact with biological and non-organism in a mutual beneficial way. So ecological centered ethics attach importance to the integrity of ecosystem, pay attention to the change of environmental ecological value. The real inner crisis of the whole Earth's environment today arises from the deviation and error of the belief, attitude, value, and practice of modern people's treatment of the Earth's environment. Therefore, in order to truly resolve the environmental crisis, we must adjust and change the belief, attitude, value, and practices of human beings treating the Earth's environment. Deep ecology and Buddhist ecological concept. Roland Nash, a thinker in the Western environmental movement, praised Oriental religion and philosophical culture. In his opinion, the core of these Oriental beliefs is a treatment and remedy to the dualism of the anthropocentrism and the traditional Western philosophy have never been immune to. Eastern religion believes that all parts of nature are merged into one because of the claim that the individual I am immersed in a large organism. The Oriental religion have made an intelligent role to environmental ethics. The ancient Oriental thought coincided with the theory of ecology. The British philosopher Alan Watt, deeply influenced by Suzuki, considered nature as a whole, including mankind itself, and asserted in his writing, a moral consciousness of all round development must cover all existence. Buddhism and ecological thought imply ideological intimacy. American environmental scholar Roston and others think that the Buddhism theory of karma, reincarnation, and other theory inspired the concept of environmental protection against among Asians, while the Indra network in the Avatamsaka Sutra exerted a profound influence on the entire world ecosystem network and excellent description of the world. Nash point out, Buddhist thinking is to seek the cause of human suffering and a way of governance, and take a non-intrusive and a non-infringement attitude toward nature in order to live in peace with nature. Nash believes that Buddhism provides the appropriate theoretical background and thinking for deeper ecology. In building his theory of deep ecology, Buddhism provided the most direct proof of its key concept. for example, self-actualization, intrinsic nature, intrinsic value, etc. This viewpoint represents the full affirmation in the Western academic circle of the ecological value which Buddhism contains. The sustainability of life. The modern reflection and exploration of life and death and reincarnation. The limitation of physical body versus sustainability of conscious life. In the Trinsika Vijnapti Matrata, composed by Vasubandhu and translated by Xuanzhuang, Master Xuanzhuang. And it is that these are retribution, thought, and the perception of external object. The first of these is alaya consciousness, alaya vijnana. And its conveyance is like that of a flow stream that is the transcended and transformed in the state of arahant. That means before we attain the arahanthood, our consciousness will never stop. So, okay, we just move to next page. The general public is mistaken for the view of reincarnation to be exclusively of the doctrine of Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism, and Buddhism. Well, in fact, the reincarnation of life is said at all times and in all places, not just the unique Oriental religious culture. In the ancient Western philosophical and religious texts, there was originally the concept of reincarnation. Unfortunately, the word mostly forgotten. The ancient Greek mathematician Pythagoras was a supporter and an advocate of the reincarnation theory. And the great Greek philosopher Plato adopted the idea from the Pythagoras, but was forgotten by the later generation. Early Christians did not reject the idea of reincarnation either. Reincarnation was documented in both the Old and New Testament of the Bible. The Bible suggests that Jesus himself believed in reincarnation. It is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. And the priests of early time church, like Jesus, most likely accepted the concept of reincarnation, and many saints believe in their past and future life. And there are many books talk about that. But regrettably, documentation on reincarnation in the New Testament of the Bible was erased in the year of 325 by the Constantine the Great. Later on, reincarnation was deemed as heresy and subsequently suppressed and panned by the Roman Emperor Justinian and the Catholic Church in the second session of the Christian Ecumenical Council of Constantinople. So thus, at one stage and a long period of time, for more than 1,400 years, the concept of theory of reincarnation had almost disappeared in the Western culture. But gradually, the concept of rebirth of reincarnation seemed to have made a breakthrough from being generally perceived as a stereotypical religious myth or superstition. Then, today, we went into the area or realm of parapsychological and psychiatric research. So modern academic field work report on reincarnation. The very famous is composed by Ian Stevenson, the Professor Ian Stevenson from Virginia University. He wrote a book, he published over 20 cases, Subject of Reincarnation, and other book. In a nutshell, reincarnation is not an individual phenomenon, but a whole system of life. The term samsara is a systematic description of endless process of life and the entire functioning of the universe as a whole. Okay, I just moved to the epilogue. This is from Fu Guangzhan, our master. He founded the 5 Just a conclusion. The openness of choice and the behavior means that human beings must be fully responsible for our own choice and behavior. The freedom of choice and attribution of responsibility are the two sides of the causal link of human behavior and with profound ethical implication in it. Besides the two closely related concepts of the eternal life and the sustainable world, there is still another profound meaning. In our future life, we may go to other world of the universe, or may return to this world, that our earth. Therefore, we must treat this world kindly, make her the residence that can be settled permanently, not only for prosperity or for future generations, but also for our own future well-being. So therefore, the sustainable development of life and the sustainable development of the world are the two sides of a coin. Only with the sustainable world, then the sustainable life can be settled. So invest in this lifetime, contribute to the sustainability of life and our world. Is like to deposit the reincarnation, continuing wealth, and contribute to the commonwealth of all the people related. So let's work together to make our world better and better in the future. So thank you for your attention. So may the Dharma be with you, and may the Buddha light shining on you and your family. Thank you.
Swamiji and co-panelists, first of all, I would like to thank the Nalanda University and the Indian Foundation, especially Professor Sunaina Singh, the Vice Chancellor of the university, for making it possible for me to take part in this conference and share my ideas with you. I wish to relate myself to the theme of the conference by specifically from a particular context, the context of teaching and research. And this context is very relevant in this particular place where we are located. Our friend has been talking about asking the question, where is your mind? So where are we? We are in a particular context which actually encouraged, sustained, nurtured, strengthened, disseminated paths of inquiry for centuries, as we know. And it is the right place to initiate the question about teaching and research that we are involved in. What kind of institutions we work in and what kind of discourses we disseminate today in the world is a very important question. In the Indian context, this is much more a burning question. Every semester, many of us have faced this problem. We get up and ask the question, what am I going to teach this semester? What am I going to teach? Who am I going to teach? How am I going to teach? And why am I teaching? These questions become increasingly relevant in the context of the humanities where I teach. And these questions do not have a decisive and final answer. We are yet to find the final answer in our specific context. What is this particular context that we are talking about? For we, it seems to me, live in what I call intellectually destitute situation, intellectually destitute context. It's a post-colonial destitution. And destitution for me is a kind of situation where we do not know what kind of questions we should be asking, and we do not know what kind of inquiries we should be pursuing. And in order to outline the magnitude of this crisis we are caught in the field of humanities, but not just there, but probably in other fields also. This question becomes quite crucial in the context of cultures which have faced colonialism for centuries. To outline the magnitude of this question, magnitude of this crisis, I'd like to make a hypothesis. The hypothesis is this, that's how I relate myself to the theme of the conference. The hypothesis is that if you think that Indian culture exemplifies dharma, usually pointed out quite celebratorily, India as a dharmic civilization, we may point out that the crisis of the present is due to the overwhelming presence and dominance of paradharma in our relation to ourselves and to others, whether the others could be organic or non-organic beings. What can be done in such a kind of crisis-ridden situation? The first step in the context of teaching and research, which I'm basically focusing on and speaking from that particular context, is to clarify the terms that we are using, both the term culture and the term dharma. Culture is basically what we do and what we say about what we do. our salient practices, and our generationally transmitted salient practices, memories, and relations to each other. As these practices are rendered in accord with endowments, we render these practices on the basis of the endowments that we possess. That form, and we can say that culture is a kind of cultivable endowment. Endowments are the traits of gift and curse, with which the bounteous force called Prakriti endows us or makes every entity in existence. Our practices and our endowments are mutually constitutive. Actions constitute endowments, and endowments constitute actions, but they both are open to cultivability. Endowments and entities are means and effects of our actions. The arena where the actions take place, the means and the effects through which the actions take place are two. One is the body, and the other is what is called in the Indian context loka, the spatial temporal context or complex in which we live. The ultimate aim of existence in any culture, pagan cultures especially, Greeks and us, the ultimate aim of existence is achieving happiness in the loka, in the context in which we live. But there is the rub, there is the problem. Happiness is hampered mainly because endowments and actions are open to vulnerability. They are vulnerable. They are vulnerable to the passions that the endowments unfold. Endowments just don't come just like that, but they come packaged in certain kind of passions. Indulgence in passions of desire, passions of possessivity, disorient one and pushes one into unhappiness. The reason for happiness is indulgence in passions. But endowments are paradoxical. They come to us, but they bring something else along with us. Endowments are cultivable, and they can be reoriented. It is possible for us to reorient the endowments. When passions are contained and traits are reoriented, the traits, the endowments that we are given or we are kind of born with, the consequent actions can lead to happiness. This is, however, a protracted process. There's no isomorphic relation between action and endowment. The traits that emerge and the actions that we do, the relationship between them is quite a protracted one. And the results spread across transgenerational relations of existence. Thus, I would say that Dharma can be configured as the happiness-oriented cultivable endowments. Dharma could be cultivable endowments whose ultimate aim is actually to bring forth happiness. But we talked about, I mentioned a bounteous force called Prakriti, which endows us with certain kind of things, which in turn result in actions. But neither Prakriti, nor something called Purusha, nor the person, the biological entity or non-organic entity, none of them, in this kind of understanding, none of them has any agentive, perfect, controllable, masterable agentive role to play. The actions, the circuitry that actions and passions establish are open to a certain kind of reorientation, and that they can be reconstituted. But the reconstitution is not based on any prior existing constitution as such. This reconstitution is without any constitution and without any kind of predetermined orientation. But this is where we face the problem. In the last 2 centuries, Indian Swadharma modes of being have been vulnerably exposed to the invasive traits of Paradharma of Europe. And that has resulted in a certain kind of disjuncture of our existence, a certain kind of fracture in our existence. Our thinking and living is one particular kind of thing, and then our education system and the institutions through which we propagate our education provide us something very different. This kind of disjuncture is something that we lead, we endure, or we live in our day-to-day life. We are neither vibrantly alive nor entirely dead with regard to our cultivable endowments. On the one hand, and we are in a capable situation to measure the depth of the violence of the invasive traits. On the other, we do not know how to confront them, most of the time institutionally. Individuals may be involved in actually trying to find ways of getting out of this. How to confront this frightful, the Gita quotation that I have given actually very powerfully captures the situation in which we are. Paradharmo bhayavaha, it says. And we do not know what fear is as far as the invasion of the Paradharma is concerned. We are yet to feel the fear. That's why I keep saying that we are neither vibrantly alive to the, nor entirely dead with regard to our cultivable endowments on the one hand, and nor we are in a capable situation to measure the depth of the violence that the invasive traits have inflicted upon us. One possible trajectory is to take up the task, is to explore the difference between cultural differences, cultural endowments. If every culture is comes up with a certain kind of cultivable endowments, what is the difference between one culture and another culture? In our context, European culture and let's say Indian culture. European culture, especially in the Common Era, has crystallized its endowments in two very powerful forms. One is development of what is called knowledge, and the other is a development of something called power. Power and knowledge have been focused upon, and systematically these have been developed. We come across this in Plato's Republic. One guess is the basis for this development crystallization is a kind of cathexis, or focusing on something called logos, reason and discourse. Okay, and then the logos has a certain kind of powerful capability. It has a capability to sustain itself, proclaim something, state something, and establish something without depending on anything. So it has a kind of status. It is a powerful autonomous status. It is a kind of sovereign, if you like. This idea of sovereignty of reason is something that is at the basis of the crystallization of these two powerful systems called power and knowledge. And they both go together. Both political systems and the systems of knowledge go together in the European context. Logos is an autonomous and sovereign entity that determines knowledge and power. And today we are confronted with a situation when a particular kind of cultural endowment crystallized in that particular form determines practically every concept that we deal with in our universities. Every concept of politics, concept of literature, concept of aesthetics, concept of mind, concept of man, every concept is pervaded and determined by this particular kind of European heritage, or paradharma, if you like, okay? And that's what we are caught in. And we need to measure the magnitude of the crisis in which we are situated now. There's no point in simply trying to find out at a lexical or semantic level verbal equivalents between concepts of European thought and Indian reflective traditions. The reason is that the gap is huge. The concept of sovereignty is something that is completely absent in the Indian philosophical systems. The reason is that many of us know that Gita, I keep thinking about Gita, ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti muchyate, it says. That is only the one who's kind of arrogates to himself a certain kind of selfhood and agentive power, that person can declare that he is the cause of everything. And that would be ahankara and vimudha. If it is the logos which actually crystallize both in its philosophical or ontological sense and also in the theological sense, determined European thinking traditions, then in the Indian context, this is a kind of hypothesis again. It is not so much logos, but it is manas, which seems to have played a very crucial, very significant role in the Indian reflective traditions. And this is open to criticism, and I would like to learn from the audience if there are any other thoughts. The reason is that when you begin to pay attention to specific kind of compositions in Sanskrit and also other Indian languages, you'll begin to see that all the actions that we undertake, they are discussed in terms of mano, vak, kaya, both manas-based and vak-based, and then kaya, the body-based. Our actions are actually emerging from these particular three sources, not from buddhi. That's not included in Brihadaranyaka and other places. Manovakaya karmas we talked about. And also Brihadaranyaka keeps saying that manasa ivanu drashtavyam, I see from the manas, on the basis of the manas or through the manasu, drashtavyam nahane nasti kinchana, that there are no differences here. And also in the Gita it is clearly pointed out that among all the indriyas, manasa ivanu, indriyanam manaschasmi, says, Para playing as fictional Krishna, points out that Manas is being given certain kind of significant place. But Manas is an extraordinarily vicissitudinal faculty. It's something that cannot be controlled, it cannot remain one and the same, and it keeps changing. It is both the source for sankalpa and also vikalpa, resolution, determinations, and also disturbances. And, but then the path to reflection, path to happiness is projected through manas. What I'm trying to point out, in contrast to the European tradition, which privileges logos, I think we need to pay attention to manas and begin to see. In European tradition, not that manas aspect is not there, the other faculty is not there, but they have been undermined incredibly. Many of you know the division that was done in the antiquity between mythos and logos, that is myth and poetry, have been undermined. Again, Plato comes to mind, or at least European reading of Plato comes to mind. Okay. So we play with manas, and if we can, if there is a possibility of reflecting on manas and then containing it, then there is a possibility for reorienting the endowments. Endowments can be dominated by manas. Manas can actually preoccupy and then possess any particular faculty, whether it is reasoning, or whether it is a certain kind of investment, or whether it is a kind of blindness towards something. Manas can actually cathect it and kind of either turn it into vulnerable one or enable us to actually achieve something, most importantly, happiness. If this is a certain kind of hypothesis on the basis of which we can think about reorienting what I've been saying as reaching teaching and research situations, we should be in a position to take risks and take up certain kind of tasks. That's what I'm trying to do. We have been trying to do, and I'm glad former Vice Chancellor and Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University is here. When Professor Sunaina Singh was there in our university, we have had an incredible chance of actually developing several research projects, and research clusters have been developed, and we have been working on that. I don't think I have time to talk about these, but I'll try to show you some samples so that your interest in this might turn attention. The dominant, the domain, the most important domain in which reflections on culture take place in our contemporary world, obviously is the humanities. And humanities is the place where we need to reorient our understanding of our endowments, our inheritances. And this needs to be done today by breaching paths of thinking, paths of doing new kind of research. This can be done. We have a research project. What we call this project is called Critical Humanities, how to rethink, reorient European traditions of thinking and talking about being human, and what are the ways in which we can actually transform this by developing new ways of thinking, by engaging with the material, cultural forms and cultural formations that are available. What I mean by cultural forms and cultural formations are basically Indian culture. Something called Indian culture is unthinkable, impossible to think about without the contribution of multiple jatis. Unending number of jatis have contributed to something called Indian culture. And it is jatis that have generated diversified, infinite number of cultural forms, and then cultural formations, which are jatis, they have proliferated across the entire subcontinent. It is possible, this is a research project, it is possible to develop research clusters, and multiple research clusters can combine and come into what are called research constellations, and these are 7 research constellations. Each research cluster is composed of, each cluster, cultural cluster, is composed of multiple jatis which coexist, and then which actually interconnect and interrelate. These are 7 constellations on the basis of which research has been chalked out, and then we are trying to develop a certain kind of digital map of cultural constellations. And hopefully, if researchers are interested, if new researchers come from different kind of jatis, and then make use of the cultural forms from which actually they are the inheritors of, and then further research can be developed. We have developed a large number of courses. This is a catalog of courses which came out in Professor Sunaina Singh's period. About 30 to 40 courses we have designed in this area of critical humanities. And then it seems to me that our cultivable endowments can be reoriented by rethinking and reshaping and transforming teaching and research in the humanities. We need young people to rethink about these things, and not young, everybody has to rethink about this, because that's the way we can transform. So the question I leave with this, whether it's a question or not, I don't know. Living in the double bind of Swadharma and Paradharma, we need to ask the question, what do you do with what you have? And there's no final answer to this. Thank you for your patience.
four erudite, learned speakers sharing their thoughts on different topics, but all of them very, very eager, inspired, and enthusiastic. The professor there spoke about, I'm coming in that order. One of the points which I liked very much on what he spoke was the questions which Bhagavan Buddha asked. If those things are taken care of, the state will be very strong. Then the monk from Thailand, a very nice question he asked, always ask where you are. What he meant was, always ask where the mind is. That was a wonderful thought for meditation. I emphasized upon the role of meditation. Then from Taiwan, we had the professor. He spoke on many points, but the point which really touched me was, we should not think of the world for the human being. We always think that the world is for us. It should not be made anthropocentric. That was a very nice point. And of course, here the professor near me, he painted in such wonderful English, I should say, on so many points. And he brought out how there is a clash between Swadharma and Paradharma. All are very, very nice points. I am very, very grateful to all of you for sharing your thoughts. I thought I will take up one topic, and in the next 15 minutes, if you may permit me, share my thoughts on what is the contribution, essential contribution, or the most important contribution which the Dharma and the Dhamma traditions have offered to society and the state. Shall I? We are at 3:30. We start a little late. Let me tell a story. I come from the south of India, a state Tamil Nadu, which is a very, very proud state of its language. The language Tamil was developed from ancient times, and there used to be what is called as a sangam. The word sangam means getting together. So in these sangams, I'm talking 2000 years back, in these sangams, the learned scholars, whatever was written, they would bring, and then it would be debated. It would be critically considered, and what passed the test of all the scholars present there would be shared with the people. If it did not pass the test, the book would be burned right there. So thus, wonderful texts have come from the tradition, grammatical texts like Tulkapiyam, life texts like Tirukkural, all of them. And these sangams were held once in probably 10 years, 15 years. One such sangam was in progress in the city of Madurai. In that state was also a youngster by name Kondan. He went to learn Sanskrit. So here you have a Tamil sangam going on. And he went to learn Sanskrit because there are people who go to learn Sanskrit also in Tamil Nadu, that time 2000 years back onwards. He went to a place called Kanchipuram, which was a citadel for Sanskrit, learned that wonderful language, the divine language, Deva Bhasha as they call, and fully inspired about the glory of that language, Sanskrit. he wanted to tell everybody that Sanskrit is a superb language and all ought to read, all ought to study, but the method we took was little odd. He took that, what they call parai in Tamil we call. Parai is that drum which is used for making announcements. So right at the street in Madurai, where the Sangam was in progress, he took that parai and then went on hitting and announcing. Ariyam nandru Tamil teedu, Ariyam nandru Tamil teedu, Ariyam nandru Tamil teedu. Sanskrit is wonderful, exemplary, Tamil is despicable. So he went on drumming. Ariyam nandru. And you can imagine what will happen. People all came out of their homes and were very angry. Some of them threw stones, but he cared not. Ariyam nandru Tamil teedu. And he knew that the Sangam is in progress and they're discussing of great wonderful texts which are going to come and nourish the country. He went on and on. And right there, where the Sangam is in progress, he stopped there and with greater vigor kept on hitting the drum. Ariyam nandru Tamil teedu, Ariyam. A great Tamil scholar of the times, Nakirar, he came out when he heard that halabulla, as we say, and then he found this youngster fearlessly saying, Tamil is despicable. Well, it is said that he composed a song. And then the song, the verse there goes on to say, to him who says Tamil is despicable, let his life become despicable. Immediately he dropped down dead. Kondan's mother, when she came to know that her son is dead, she came running, fell at the feet of this Nakiran, and then said, my son, only son, forgive him. Please raise him to life. Forgive him, forgive him. This Nakiran could not bear the sorrow of the mother. He composed one more song and then said, if it is true that all can be forgiven, even the one who criticized my mother, Tamil mother, let him be forgiven, come back to life. And this boy, Kondan, came back to life, and then he just saw everybody, he understood what was happening, and then he took the drum again. And now what he did was, he said, Tamil nandru Ariyam teedu, Tamil nandru Ariyam teedu, which is a change of what he said. Tamil is superb, exemplary, and Sanskrit is despicable. Immediately Nakirar went and stopped him. Son, don't say this way or that way. The fact is, language is only a medium of communication. What we express through a language makes the language holy or unholy. 2000 years forward, fast forward, the ashram of Mahatma Gandhiji, Sabarmati, every day morning, prayers are done before the day begins. Mahatma Gandhi leads the prayer. There are readings from the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, the Guru Granth Sahib, the Dhamma-Dhamma. Every day. And these reporters, they've got a knack of asking you troubling questions. So one reporter, during one of the sessions, he asked, in the ashram, Sabarmati ashram, you chant the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, the Dhamma-Pada, and the Guru Granth Sahib. Which one you like the most? Mahatma Gandhi just took a moment And then he said, you have a mother, I have a mother, he has a mother, she has a mother. Which mother do I love the most? I love my mother the most. But in knowing how I love my mother the most, I can fathom how you love your mother also. The question which I'm asking is, what is the most important contribution of the Dharma and the Dhamma traditions to our society? Well, today is the day of Swami Vivekananda's Jayanti to know. Let me chant that verse which Swami Vivekananda chanted in the Chicago Parliament of Religions. Trayi ve trayi sankyam yogo pashupati matam vaishnavamiti prabhinne prasthane paramidamada patyamiti cha ruchinam vaichitriad rujukutilana patajusham nranameko gamyah tvamasi payasam arnavamiva. Trayi sankyam yogaha pashupati matam vaishnavamiti. Trayi stands for the Veda, Sankhya another philosophy, Yoga, Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Prabhinne Prasthane. Each one seemingly different. Paramidamada patyamiti cha. Each one claiming this is wonderful, this is better, this is more nicer. Ruchinam vaichitriat. And this difference is nothing but reflective of each one's taste. Rujukutilanana patajusham. Some of them going this way, some of them going that way. Nranameko gamyaha. But all men will have to reach only one place. Like what? Like all rivers, how they reach one ocean, irrespective of the routes they take. Is there any tradition which has said this? Is there any land which has shared this kind of universal message? If at all, this land has shared something which is so vital in our present times, and that is this, the philosophy of also. The philosophy of also and not the philosophy of only. Let me just explain what I mean by philosophy of also. Dash alone is the way. If a tradition says, we say, sir, that's fine, but can you just say instead of only also? Dash also saves. This alone is the way. Can you say this also is the way? Today, the whole world is hanging on balance between this only and also. Only can destroy the world, also can save the world. The difference is only between only and also. Please think, where there is a fight, there is always the devil only. Where there is an embrace, there is always the God also. In this age when people are talking about a bigger nuclear button in their own table. If something can protect all of us, it is this philosophy of also throwing to the dustbin their narrowness of only. This is what the Dharma-Dhamma traditions have given to the world. Arnold Toynbee, a great philosopher, he says something very nice. He says, if the chapter of world, he doesn't say the word book, if the chapter of the world has begun with a Western page, it has to definitely end with an Indian ending. What he means is this. India is not guru for the world because it has given so many things like science, physics, chemistry, botany. Yes, India has given. Yes, true. But India is truly guru because it has embraced the whole world as a teacher by sharing one important thought, which is like the golden thread, which can go to all cultures and serve and protect all cultures. And that is this tradition of all inclusiveness, which is famously voiced in statements such as Ano Buddha Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come to us from all sides. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Eka Needam. Where the whole world is nothing but one nest, where we are all birds. We are all going to stay. Can we provide a wonderful world for our own posterity? If we have to provide, it is based on this thought that we are all truly one. This is a tradition which goes to the commonality. For the devil lies in the details. We are all one. Race, caste, color of the skin, gender, creed, these things matter not. They are not true. They are only to help us. And if they don't help us, it means we have not seen the truth of those things. In this tradition, we say, let us be together, and the beauty is in the diversity. This is truly a multi-centric approach. Truly multi-centric approach. Every difference we cherish because we see the beauty of oneness. My teacher, Swami Chinmayananji, used to say, we stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. Can we all say that together? We stand as one family. We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. It is not that we will stand, we should stand, we must stand. No, we stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. And if somebody is not standing, we should tell them, we should stand. Let us stand. We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. Hail India, hail Dharma-Dhamma traditions. Thank you.
Thank you and Pranam Swamiji. I request you to please felicitate four of our distinguished speakers with a memento each, please. And may I call upon Madam Vice Chancellor to felicitate Swamiji after he's felicitated all four speakers. Thank you so much to four of our distinguished speakers from Taiwan, Thailand, Professor Negi and Professor Rao. Guru Prakash ji, 4 o'clock. Okay, thank you so much to our speakers once again. We'll now disperse for a small 15-minute break. You wish to say something? Yeah, group photo, ma'am. Group photo in the meantime. We'll reconvene in the venues which have been mentioned in the banners for the paper presenters. Thank you so much.